you suture yourself to a supernatural God, not only will you get taken by K-Fas, but there will not be appropriate response to your missing case. There will not be an appropriate response once it gets highlighted that Karab was missing. There will not be appropriate reaction to the devastation that's slapping you. There is inappropriate reaction even to your tears when you have just been accosted, when you are bereft and you mourn in a police station or at the hospital or at the gate with the security guards because something again traumatizing has happened. Like somebody has hit your window with a brick and now you're at the security guard station at your complex. These are all the experiences that I've had. You are now at the security guard post and you are just bawling your eyes out, crying because you're frantic, you're frenetic, you're freaked out. You will be told by people around, stop crying. This is not the place for that. That's the black girl's issue. We out here, Simanzi from rape, crying at the police station, and the police are like, relax, this is the police station, this is not a time to cry. That's how black girls are responded to when we are in distress. You be out here crying because your child is missing. You're throwing your toys out the cot, you're worried. And there is no compassion, there's nobody saying there on your shoulder. They're just telling you, I need to take down the details of your case. Calm down. This is no place to cry. So you are told in to swallow inyembezi zakho as a black girl. While they formulate a case, you are devastated and you're told, I've had this happen to me in the season of suffering, I don't know how many times, where it is that I was frantic, because of something just really freaking shocking that had just happened. And I was told by everyone around, black people, white people alike, that shut up, your tears are irritating me, you are loud. You are loud. And you just had to go and sucker down and basically cry in a corner, endure your PTSD by yourself, and comfort yourself. That's why black girls hold their tears in. That's why the whole angry black woman thing even happens. When as a woman being an emotional being, we are all made in the image of God. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, and no slave, no free. There's no black and white in Christ. All are one in Christ. The Lord has made us equal in essence, however different in function. And so if we're all the same as women, we all tend to react a particular way to, external stimuli. We all react a particular way to external stimuli coming in, if at all we are all women, right? So the same shock that would hit an Indian girl, or the same shock that would hit a white woman, or the same shock that would hit a colored woman, the same shock that would hit an Asian woman, a Chinese, whatever, when it comes into their body, that then causes them to just react with what is a typical female reaction. Just burst out into tears and throw your toys out the cot and be inconsolable. That which happens to women naturally, because we're all built in the image of God. We operate similarly as race, as sexes. Our skin color is irrelevant. The way that women react to stimuli is exactly the same across races. But the response to our pain as black girls is so freaking apathetic. It is so nonchalant, so la-di-da. It's like we're not even human. It's like we're not even human. We are not allowed to scream when there is a painful stimuli coming into the body without being viewed as dramatic and drama queen, throwing toys out the cot. We cannot cry when we've been raped and scratched without being told by the police where we are reporting a freaking case that calm down. This is not the place to cry. Police, or let me rather say public servants, work with frazzled men and women on the daily. They work with the civilization, the population of a country, who all have a myriad of problems. So therefore, you cannot be a public servant. Do you understand what I'm saying? And not have enough compassion to say to a crying woman, ma'am, I know that you're in a lot of pain, but I need you to calm down so I can gauge what you're saying and so I can write down your case so that we can get the details. There's basically a way to get a person to stop sobbing so much and stop being frantic. And if you're going to be put in a position as public servant, you have got to be trained that. But that's not presently happening, is it? For black women in particular. This is a black woman issue, where it is that if you throw your toys out the cot at a police station, you will be told, shut up, this is not the environment for that. But if a white woman were to do the same thing at Douglasdale Police Station, or even an Indian woman do the same thing at Santon Police Station, they would be told, ma'am, calm down. Please relax. We need to take your case. Let's get your details. What's going on? And not only are the police going to be more appropriately responsive, or the nurses at the hospital more appropriately responsive, so too will this individual woman be likely encircled by family that is also comforting her. Just like a plethora of individuals that have their back. When then there is all this comfort around them, this person feels acknowledged, known, and so they immediately start to walk in recovery. They can actually heal from the trauma that slapped them, that caused them to throw their toys off the cot that way, because people actually care that they're in pain. They are seen. But the pain of the black girl, she's made to just swallow it. It is a tough pill. She is made to be like, Gunja Lunji. She's made to believe that it's just like that. That's just the way that the world is. Nothing is fair. So every man for himself. Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's not like that for other women. It is not like that for other women. When the world has no regard for you, when the world does not care, and it's just a thing, like, you know, with black girls, we are just told to deal gunjalo in the black community. And while I agree to deal gunjalo in the black community, the Bible says that cast your burdens upon the Lord, for he cares for you. Cast your burdens on the Lord, for he cares. If at all the world is going to cause you to grab the emotions that God gave you, and ignore them, and just squash them, and smother them, and push them deep into some strange corner, because nobody cares that, oh, wallah. If at all, God can create such a passionate being as a human being, and then one, like, segment of that human race is told, ignore the passions that God gave you, ignore the shock absorption, what do you call this, like, what it is that the Lord gave us to deal with harsh stimuli, with trauma, that which is scary to us as human beings. The Lord has given our bodies shock absorbers, because he's loving that way, he's full of comfort. The shock absorber, one of the shock absorbers that we have been given by God is a releasing of tears when the heart is overwhelmed. It is a shock, it's a freaking adrenaline response, okay? A releasing of tears. These fluids, when they come out of your face, of your body, there is a recovery process that is happening that is basically one step closer to your final healing. And if you are told to just swallow those tears, you will stew and you will brew and you will ruminate on this thing without being able to appropriately respond, and the reaction will be anger and withdrawal and bitterness. And basically you will then walk in what is the typical eventuality of the black woman. Angry black woman who also does what? When a person is unloved, when a person is not appropriately responded to, when they are suffering, they will refuse, just out of spite, to award that love to anybody else. They feel like nobody loves me, so they will in and of themselves stop appropriately responding to the pain of others. So if they're mothers, they will not love their children as these children need to be loved. If they are friends, they will not appropriately respond to their girl's pain and sorrow. Essentially, there is just a manufacturing of a freaking general homeostatic apathy in the black community. It is the manufacture of apathy against the black girl's cause. It is ignoring of black women by black women, and the ignoring of black women by black men, and of course then the ignoring of black women by everybody else here on earth. Now, when you are done dirty and you can't cry about it, that says that nobody's here to comfort you. It also basically comprehensively throws out of the water any right to recourse. Basically the comeuppance or the justice of your enemies. That the person that put you in a position to be that pained, the person that put you in a position to be that afflicted, the likelihood that you are going to get enabled to bring them to book by this apathetic conglomerate of onlookers to your circumstance is slim to none. And when then, over and above your pain being ignored, you also have got no rights to recourse. Where you gonna go, black girl, where? Please, somebody tell us, sister. Y'all need a supernatural God to literally whammy with 5-finger wankuta. Black women, you need a supernatural God to kick on the chest. Labantu abahlukumezayo. You need to feel loved and you need to feel catered to. You need a supernatural God to literally kill your rapist. You need a supernatural God who is looking at the police having no respect for the fact that you've just been raped, or that you have got some stalking freak that won't leave you alone, or that you have got some bully and is able to buy a docket. And so the case of assault of him just disappears in the woodworks. Your rape kit goes missing at the hospital. And because you're a black girl, you will be running in circles in courts for 5 years before you drop the case or before you pass away in Jafela from a great deal of stress. You cannot keep on allowing yourselves to be aloof parents to children because the whole world is aloof to you. Because the world is ignoring you. You can't then ignore the next generation. Black girls need love. They need protection. And they are presently not even getting it from their moms anymore because their moms have been so freaking ignored. So ignored. That they envy black women. The way that other women outside of our race are loved. But I am telling you right this moment, there is a God that can literally decimate to the nth of himself, as in finish off, as in annihilate. The person that the police ignored was a predator against your life, who made a docket disappear, who basically brought all those tears on your face while everybody told you at the hospital, relax man. At the hospital, with everybody telling you, chill, like, blow man. This is not the place to kala man. Yeah, okay. The Lord will not only comfort you in that state, but he will give you so much breakthrough. He will give you so much deliverance that even the nurses at the public hospital, the public clinic that were doing your rape kit will be ashamed of themselves for having inappropriately responded to your case. The way that God so takes up the cause of the widow and the orphan. Or the police that out here told you, police station. The person that bought your freaking docket. The nurses who were lacking compassion when you were doing a rape kit. All the people that did not comfort you, who ignored you, who cut you off. Because because I'm a fair weather friend. That is the kind of justice you eventually get. And when, you see, trauma comes in. Bottom line is trauma. Trauma exists. Whenever people hurt you, the trauma will come in. But healing, that, guys, how extensive the healing happens. Basically, how much you recover. The degree to which you recover from the trauma. That is 100% dependent on your environment. The stimuli that causes the trauma will come. But the recovery from the trauma is comprehensively dependent on your environment. You need comforting people. You need appropriate public servants responding to your call of distress. You need the emergency responder to actually care. You need the doctor stitching up your wounds to have good bedside manner. You also need your friends and your family to encircle the living daylights out of you while you are sobbing and while you are recalling, while you are ruminating, while you are stewing on the event that hit you. You need the therapist to care. You need the people in at your offices when you come back to work after a traumatizing incident that left you in the hospital to have a whole bunch of balloons saying welcome back. You need society to say, there. That is how a person heals. Offenses will come in society. People will get slapped for nothing in the street. You will get hijacked. You will be held at gunpoint and have your phone stolen. You will get raped. You get my point. Basically, whatever it is that is a harsh external event that could happen to you, that will happen. This is the earth. God will gives us shock absorbers to initially, in the very beginning of sorrow, cry, break out into tears. That's the first healing process. It's biological. It's physiological. The black girl, from the initial reaction, the physiological reaction, the tears, is told shut up. And then she is encircled by a bunch of apathetic no-brainers that are telling her, and we need to be practical. We are recording your case, and we are going to deal with it as we deal with it. Just, Njefela, wait for us to fix this. While she is in this Antarctic, cold environment where she is stewing on what happened with nobody saying, there. And that's the thing, given that there's no healing coming, there's no comfort in the extenuating environment, given that the environment is not comforting of her, there is no healing happening. And when a person does not heal, it is not a scar that forms on that open wound. It is a gangrene, a sepsis, a necrotizing fasciitis. It is something that is spreading in the bloodstream that will eventually kill that person. It does not matter if it takes a year, 2, 10, 20 years, but the black woman's personality change all throughout her life is so freaking drastic in comparison to other races. Like, this woman in her 20s is a particular way, and by the time she is in her 40s, she is completely transformed because of the flagrant disregard of black women. Black girls, you could say, it is what it is. But what the heck? What I want is a bullet in the brain of the guy that raped me. What I want is orange for the rest of his life, in the life of the dude Ongjonjele. Imaliam yonke. What I want is lechirling shaying in Pama, this like little freak of a woman that whammed me Kampama, and I got a blue eye. I need that woman to be met with something so voluptuously, like, recovering of me and finishing off and neutralizing of her. That akazongi bikisa kanjena again. That she will never, she will think twice next time. She wants to come as karapa ebusweni. Next time she wants to come and shapa migampama without me having had it coming. Utanana twice because of the way that she has been handled. The environment is the difference. Do you understand? And since the black community does not have a conducive environment for the healing of its women, there is an angry black women phenomenon, and the ripple effects of it are apathy on the part of, listen to this, the one body of people in the whole conglomerate of God creating men and women that are the nurturers. Like, women are nurturers. They're caregivers. They dress up wounds of soldiers on the battlefield. That's who women are. That's what we've been made to be. And when then you grab a nurturer and you ignore her tears, what incentive does she have to freaking nurture? What incentive does she have to dress the wounds of broken soldiers? What incentive does she have to put bandages anyway? What incentive does she have to worry about a girl child that has not come home for hours? What incentive does she have to use her intuition to gauge that my daughter's in danger? My son, something's wrong. I can beg. You women are the ones that can pick up. Their intuition shuts down, and so too does their nurturing shut down. And that is such a powerful preventative force on earth. It is so preventative. It is so staying of disaster that when it is gone, black men and women and children will start to die in a genocidal type fashion, dropping like dominoes, because black women are just like, I'm sorry, that I can pick up that something's wrong, because nobody cares when there's something wrong with me. They will disregard the cause of a teenage girl over Vayang Koskolong. Just some teacher. To her, it's like, you're paranoid, man. Like, you can tell, a woman's intuition is so poignant that it can prevent disaster from happening. Just because she thought that something's up. The moment her child is in danger, something's wrong. The moment her husband is in harm's way, something's wrong. Or when her husband wants to leave the house to go and have some strange meeting in the night with what he calls a business partner, the wife can be like, John, something Lana, it doesn't give. And if at all she is hearkened to by a responsible John who listens to his wife, this dude will sit down and not go to that meeting, only to find out the next day that a fight broke out and 3 people passed away because there was a gunfight and 4 people passed away. 5 are in hospital and others have ran off. This man will then be like, I am so grateful that business deal that I was trying to seal at 9 p.m. at night that you stopped me from going to, I'm glad that you did that. Because if it wasn't for you, I'd be either one of the dead bodies or one of the injured. Or I'd be facing prison time, because how in the world do I explain what in the world happened over here? How in the world, exactly, you get my point. That is the intuition of a woman. It can prevent disaster. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it can also recover or heal once disaster has happened. We are nurturers, and so when you don't nurture the nurturers, your whole freaking community falls apart. And that is the defeatism of the black community over there. I keep speaking about it time and time again. Black men, all of these bones that you have to pick with black women, you are cursing yourselves. You are cursing the very thing that when we are healthy, we walk in, we glide in it, we take care of your children and of you, we take care of the whole community. We have the backs of everybody, but you are exsanguinating this out of the room. But the thing, Manjimina, that I'm talking about at this present juncture is there's black women, these black men, and also the rest of the world. I mean, if something has just not worked all this time, if you will come up with all these caucuses and these meetings, and you will speak and come up with YouTube channels where you have made yourself a life coach and trying to train women on how to basically cater to your needs because ain't nobody coming for you, while they meanwhile, bottom line is, apart from there being any real, true right to recourse, you will never recover, because righteous indignation is a thing in the bones of humanity. The Lord made us hard. He made it impossible or difficult for us to write out injustice. Like whenever things are just not working out, whenever things fall apart, whenever something is obviously unjust, the human being will ruminate, they will stew on it, they will struggle to let stuff go. And that is from God, because God himself is just. It's written in his word that he hates unequal scales. Right? He hates unequal scales, so he straightens them. He hates the condemnation of the righteous and the acquittal of the wicked. So God has given us a sense of justice within. And just like him, when stuff is not straight, as Pumuli, we can't. So you can't just advise people that, hey, black girls, just detach yourself and move, because bottom line is your righteous indignation will still stew. it'll still brew and it'll make out of you an unloving, uncaring, apathetic mom to your daughter. What you need is a supernatural being that's going to give you a justice that nobody cares to give you in a way that's going to be so satisfying. The Bible says vengeance is of the Lord. In a way that's going to be so satisfying that, like I said, everybody that was apathetic and the Lord, that's how God restores. Y'all need him, but you need to actually give your lives to him, that you might enjoy that level of comeuppance for your enemies. Because ain't nobody else coming for you. The sun is setting, so I just want to keep on telling stories and I also need to pee. Kefas spotted my cousin. Kefas would take a girl. This girl would not be able to say nothing. He leaned on the fact that these girls said nothing. And if at all they went all the way to his house where he stayed, they would then get raped. But the rape was viewed as, how dare this 12-year-old girl be having sex in primary school? How dare this 10-year-old girl be having sex in primary school? Essentially, when this little girl disappeared with Kefasi and started to have sex, because that's apparently the only thing that she can do now, she was rather, unfortunately, like, the cause of the black girl, viewed as a whore. She was looked at as, fast, like when you are busy dating igenza in the community, willingly, however, consensually, you tend to get viewed by the community as taking it fast. Like everybody else said, you're like, fast, okay, judge, you are papa, okay, harlot, all over. So, a man that everybody knows who's right, that's because Mbali's like that. Mbali orata makenza because of fast. When you consensually date such a bad man, you're looked at as fast. But these girls didn't consent. However, remember, he would coerce them. Twist them, and then these girls would be like, fine, and then they would appear to gladly walk with him, go where he stays. And then I'll just start having a sexual life with some 15, 16-year-old boy as a 12, 11-year-old girl. And then the reaction to communities when they happen or catch wind of this sexual activity of this 11, 12-year-old girl, the reaction would be, pa, or fast, you are having sex as a child, you're a harlot, you're a whore. These girls would come out on the other side being called whores. This dude never was ever brought to book. He was never brought to book because he made these girls eventually agree to date him. And then he would walk with them to his house in a way that did not show that he was essentially child trafficking here. Have their bodies, and then they would return to their lives, marred with a stain of harlotry, having been, however, raped. Yeah, and this little Kefas no-brainer set his eyes on my cousin. I need to pee, and then I'll come talking from the outside to finish the story. Once I'm outside, I had to wear a jacket because it's kind of nippy. There's a cold front that came from KwaZulu-Natal recently, so it's still kind of simmering down. Yeah, the cold front of which, by the snow that was in KZN, judgment, yet more judgment, because we don't generally get that kind of weather in South Africa. Gaspring, that's when we got it. And you think that this year is not over? The world is not coming to a blistering halt? Anyway, whatever. Let me continue to tell the story. Sakefa said this little bugger set his eyes on my cousin. Alright, we are 10, 11, no, we were not in grade 2, grade 3. How old is a grade, like even under 10? We were under 10 years old, but this, I told you that my cousin looked older than her age. Not that Kefas cared, because Unanzali busy hovering around primary school anyway, right? So he liked them young. Yeah, anyway, here is this freak looking at my cousin like that. And I told you guys that the process, Kefas, is such that you'll be walking in the street with your cousins, your sisters, your friends. The guy already had a reputation for doing this, right? Already, like the stunts that he was pulling in the primary school gave him a reputation. He was spoken of as Mabonu Kefas. Okay, so you can understand how bad the situation was with Kefas. Girls used to basically stake out before school was over the fence. Yaskolo. To see Urogo guy, because he would hide himself in conspicuous spots. He would wait outside of the school, but not so close to the outside of the school that teachers would see him. He used to actively avoid adults. Anybody grown up, he was trying to exploit kids. That's what Kefas was about, okay? Very well, so he would stake out the periphery of the school. And because it was a school in the Kasi, y'all know how it is. Government, even though we are a black country with a black government, they don't care to to basically cater. The street has got all these bins, and I hate the way that these bins smell. Let's go in that direction where there's barely any bins. Anyway, yeah, so basically the building infrastructure, the architectural integrity of our schools was low-key lackluster. And whenever there were things that would fall apart, these are government schools, right? Whenever things would fall apart, they wouldn't get fixed for like months and under the years. Like, yeah, stuff would just be left dangling, hanging, stuff like that. I'm sorry for the wind. Yeah, stuff would just be left dangling and hanging and dangling some more. So if at all there were perforations in the gate because of thieves or whatever coming in at night to rob the school, those holes would just stay there for like a year or two without being corrected. So the school had mimbobo on the fences. Like, it was one of those, you know, those the wired fences, men, that have got that square thing going down. Yeah, those kinds of fences. That kind of fence was a fence that was encircling the school, and it had perforations in it. There were holes that people with pliers and whatnot, you know, opened it and they just kind of left. Like, yeah, and it was just left like that. So sometimes school kids used to take it double up using those holes. Like, they were kids, so they were tiny, they could fit into those holes. They would take them a double up to go home instead of using the main gate. Yeah, the school, they would use that hole in the fences, those holes in the fences in the school to go home. So on days when things were innocuous, those were used for that. But K-Fus became such a terrorist to us all. Especially girls, not even especially, largely girls, and the little boys couldn't stand for us, type thing, that that thieves basically broke into the fence at school, became a way to escape this threat on our lives. Ukuphuma aravijarati, nyembobo fence of school, and even if it's a long drive, guys, even if it's not a shortcut, but a longer route to get home, nonetheless it was getting taken. This dude was such a terrorist to us all that not only would girls after school or close to after school stake out these fences to see K-Fus and his boys, they were not hovering around the school every day. It was some days, but every day there was security guard duty on the part of students in the school, looking, goody fencing, to see if this little menace is of society, and where he would get spotted, where he used to hide in conspicuous corners, so he would make sure that he's not anywhere where adults would see him. He therefore tended to be either like just a little bit down the road from where the main gate of the school was, or all the way around at the back. So we would stake out the whole periphery to see guy, and wherever he was, the hole on the opposite side of the school would get used. The hole in the fence on the opposite side would get used. That's how those girls who escaped him, who fled from him, that's how those girls who were wise fled from K-Fus. First and foremost, it was well known that yellow bone, little girls that were light in complexion, and then secondly, he would cajole them, he would force them to date him. He used to force girls to agree to be his girlfriend, right? They knew that was a thing. It became so prolific, this problem, that it became a rumor that spread in the school that there is this guy that's doing this thing, and it's just challenging because of the fact that nobody was coming for us. As little kids, we didn't have parents that were always parked outside of the house, outside of the school, after school, to basically protect us from this. We were all on our own. We didn't have teachers, we had no one. We did not have high school kids because there was no high school nearby. Not close enough anyway. We didn't have whoever could protect us from this thing. It was just us, all by our lonesome. So we would, and the school was a mixed school. It was not just girls, right? Stake out the periphery. Where we would spot K-Fus at, we would use the opposite hole. And then the guy was so destructive, guys, that we would then run home. Not just walk, enjoying ourselves, not how kids walk, playing around, kicking stones, and then by drawing things on the floor. Just being kids, we stopped being kids. And we started to literally, this is okay, 1, 2, 3. look around, and then run. The run is not bad, really. Now that I think about it, it wasn't too far from home. But for kids, it was long because we were young, we were little, our legs were small, we were little. It was too much of a distance to be running away from such a fast teenage boy. He would have caught up with us, so we would run home. And that's the thing that was happening with many girls in the school. Because Kefas had a reputation for, even if he did not catch you just outside of the school gate, or the school fence, or the school premises, as you are walking home, the 1 or 2 kilometers that you are going to be walking to get home, actually there, halfway. Basically find you halfway on your way home, so you're already some distance away from the school and some distance away from your home where you stay. So it was never safe anywhere. The whole route of walking from school to home and home to school, that was in danger. And the main issue came in after school and not so much in the mornings, because after school was when kids had leisure for the rest of the day. In the mornings they had to go to school, right? And Kefas, he was a bum. So because he was just a teenage boy that was a dropout, he was not available or around in the mornings. It was an after school problem that we have with this random. So we started, me, my cousin and I, and all of our family that was in that school, and everybody else that lived pretty much more or less on the same street that went to the school. We started using these double-ups. We started using these little holes, to leave. We did not use the school's main gate to come to leave. We would use mimbobo that were basically coasted clear, sharp, and then get out one by one and just start running, start sprinting, get home, and whatnot. But hey, at least we are home. That's how we eluded Kefas. But then, like I said, why did we start doing that? Why did we start using mimbobo? Why did we start using the holes in the fence at school? We started using that hole because he set his eyes on my cousin. And one day when my cousin was getting out of school, Kefase grabbed her, and was like, hello, nice, nyatanda, unjani, wada. And we stood there and watched this guy that had this prolific, messy reputation, this scary little teenage boy and his boys, and we knew what was going on straight away. We knew. We stood there and we waited for my cousin, for Kefas to finish with her. She was also forced to be with him, to basically say, yes, fine, I'll be your girl. She never got to a point of being her hand being twisted with her screaming on the street, because we knew this guy was forced to be my girlfriend or else. Yeah, but then once you agree to be girlfriend the next day you're gonna get picked up at school and you're gonna get taken to a place where you're gonna have to now lala. Ninja, at just the age of, my cousin might have looked older than her age, but she was only in grade 3 or 2, okay? She was basically an infant. She might as well have been born yesterday. Do you understand? We were dealing with a case, a bad on our hands, or a rape. Thankfully, we thought on our feet. My cousin, we all go home, and we are all like, Kefase is busy looking at, let's say my cousin's name was Lerato. Kefase is busy looking at Lerato. What are we gonna do? Tina, as black kids, the sad thing about black children, okay, is that even when they're being harassed or abused, they don't raise it because we get yelled at for everything. We get yelled at for breaking a plate by mistake when you're washing the dishes. You get yelled at. A child is always wrong. We are guilty by mere virtue of being kids. That's the way that it is with kids, right? With black kids. Our parents was buying. I remember there was one time this one kid from next door that painted my skirt with pente from Kohabona. I went and I cried to my mom, and she treated me like every man for himself. Please, leave me alone. No rebuke of those who hurt us, right? And no sense of comfort for the child in question that has got something that is disturbing them. Our parents don't pay mind to our whims, right? Like little quirks, whatever it is that is an issue that we have as kids. Our parents have been andaba, guys. As black kids, we are told to suck it up, man. Be strong. Inyam is there to, girl, be strong. Be strong. You know what I mean? You're strong. How complete now? Be strong. Everything is just be strong. That's how it is that with black kids. Our parents hate comforting us. They hate listening to us cry and complain about whatever is afflicting us. The most dangerous thing that you can ever do with a child Yes, every so often they throw their toys out the cot because they want attention, but sometimes the situation is serious. You need to find a balance, strike a balance between ignoring a kid because white cancer or really like putting your ear on the ground, you know what I mean, to listen to what is going on here. But in the black community, it's just a ubiquitous, it's probably nothing much. Until Lomuntu has been raped, until this person has been kidnapped, until like they basically wait for things to go too far. It's what I'm getting at. And imagine when you ignore a child long enough, when a child cries or screams, like it's like black parents want you to have an open, gushing with blood wound before they'll take you to the hospital. They want you to basically be fainted on the floor, unconscious, or spazzing with an epileptic fit on the floor before they will call the medics. Before they'll call the medic. Like, I have got a scar about the size of a 5 rand coin on my leg. And I got concussed and I was unconscious for a few minutes. This bicycle of which then pierced my leg, creating a gargantuan scar. What do you call this? Mafura was sticking out of that wound. I was not taken to a clinic. I was not taken to a hospital to get stitches to of course minimize the size of the scar. I was bleeding. My leg was bleeding profusely. This thing out of the bicycle went into my leg. It could have cut an artery. There was just so much blood. It was literally pouring down my leg. I was supposed to be rushed to hospital, but instead they went and they squeezed the fat back into my leg, put a bandage around it, and today I've got this gargantuan scar that I personally. Today I've got this gargantuan scar on my leg that I personally, before I lost everything, had plans to get it revised. I wanted to get that scar revised and made smaller, like just one little stitch, instead of like this heart-shaped 5 rand size coin. What I'm trying to explain is that in the black community, we don't appropriately get responded to. We do not appropriately get responded to. That situation needed a casualty, but for me, given that I was concussed, I was on the floor, unconscious for a few minutes before I came back again, because Lomuntu hit me from the back. I was a small child. I flew, landed on the ground, and his bicycle thing, after he sort of kind of stopped by me, then went on right ahead to stab my leg. And I was not flown. I was not like rushed to hospital. I mean, somebody with a car in the community could have totally stepped up, but that was just too much work. That's the way that it is in the black community. Like I said, minimum response to very dire situations. They don't appropriately react. So if at all something like a cut in the body, that where you can see actual blood flowing down a leg, is responded to that minimally, how much more something that is a hearsay? How much more something that is a psychological issue? How much more something that is yet to produce a concussed child on the floor after a bicycle accident? So my cousin, basically, her issue, we imagined was going to be regarded or viewed as, if we reported it, we imagined that it was going to be viewed as, fight for yourself. Just say no. Just ABC. Yeah, basically just a very inappropriate response to a very dire strait. So because of our historical experience with being responded to, but with basically being our fear of being viewed as cancer caused us to keep quiet. We were mum, and we gathered together in a little caucus, just us as kids, to try and think around situation and how we're gonna deal with it. We knew what a terrorist Kifas was. We knew how ridiculous he was. We knew what he was doing to girls. We knew that nobody could say no, but we did not think that it would cause our grandmother or her dad and mom, her parents, anybody's parents. We did not imagine that these people would appropriately respond, because they never did before then. We just we're told to resolve your own issues. If a boy pushes you, if they paint your skirt with paint, just deal. Yeah, that's how we took the issue, right? So, long story short, even the negligence of black children, black girls, is such that sometimes they don't even report something very serious in the room, and they try to fix it by themselves. and such that by the time they disappear, by the time they are dead, after they've passed away from gender-based violence, there would have been so many glaring red flags and so many attempts by this woman to self-rescue, to self-medicate, essentially, against a pervert, a stalker, or whatever, that black people be out here asking, but why didn't you come sooner? Why this, why that? Why what a fish place? Shut up! You were negligent initially. So much so. You were so ridiculously negligent that I did not think that you would actually care to protect me in the climate of this threat that was facing me. Or she's been raped or whatever. That's the problem in the black community. Probably guys, I don't even know why niggas naban. Because I feel like I was the best woman to have them. Because I could have really catered to the needs of a black girl in a way that will show you what happens in the life of a black girl when you cultivate her gifting and when you listen to her, when you put your ear on the ground, and every last temper tantrum that they throw, you don't just throw it out the window as we as a shlangisa, but you actually try to see what is the root cause. I feel as if though I would have been an excellent mom. But anyway, here it is that I am at 40 with no children, and I am being sought after by licentious men that are like Kefas. Y'all know where I'm getting with this. Lots of analogies, but I want you to understand what is the thing that cures a land from Kefas, where this hovering pervert in the environment of little girls that he knows no one is coming for, because what's about how the community around that little girl, those little girls tend to be, because of the knowledge of Kefas, of the general apathy of the black community around black girls, the way that these men are just having a circus field day is out of this world. Like we are being killed, like some of the most viable, most beautiful, most gifted women in the black community are just thrown away. Like toilet paper down a toilet and flushed. We are wasted, like squandered. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are just wasted. Our talents, our gifts, our suite of anything, like every girthy thing that we have to offer, even in it just gets thrown away. And when then one of us just goes missing, and this individual was jam-packed with a plethora, a suite of giftedness, they don't even see it as just like a mammoth travesty, like a severe loss, like when a doctor like Unandipa Makudu Mane goes and helps a fugitive like Tabo Pesta and destroys therefore Yonki Kariake. The sense of loss of the travesty that has happened to a black woman, it's not appropriately thick. It's not big enough. There is not a big enough devastation. There is not a big enough devastation to the loss of black giftedness, black talent in the streets, especially when it's black women. I have spoken about it time and time again. It is so obvious that this dude was using witchcraft on this woman, pulled her like a puppet on a string, because her decisions were uncharacteristic for somebody so smart. She had her own children, and yet she could not stop. Not only Besuka Lenja Lena, but the ninja that she besukat also had raped and killed women. And she is a woman, a doctor, do no harm. And here it is that a doctor that has signed a Hippocratic oath, that entered into a profession where she is taking care of people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nonetheless could out here leave her whole entire life behind, children and a husband, in order to cater to the needs of a gangster, a criminal that had a history of sexual harassment against women and murder. He was a gender-based violence man. He was a killer of women. Nandipa was out of her mind in a way that is so freaking obvious. It is witchcraft in the worst way. And when such travesties as these happen to people, to black women, there isn't sufficient uproar concerning the destruction of a perfectly viable woman. They go for the best girls in the room, the best of our women, and then they lay them waste and make them do some of the dumbest things under heaven. Make them settle for or accommodate some of the most wicked men under heaven. Literally sitting down as a whole fully fleshed doctor with a rapist and a murderer, and nobody's out there calling out the witchcraft epidemic in this country for what it is. Lenjale, that is Tabo Pesta, was not only able to commit crimes while in prison, but he was also obviously paying some spiritist to keep Nandipa in a trance. And for me, the thing about that is, when such travesties go down, and we as black people do not basically start to appropriately react to the severity of travesties that are hitting black girls, we will keep on getting dropped like dominoes, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, with people just being like, Shem, she was a doctor, she threw her whole life away. The whole thought process around Unandipa right now is that ulahle impilo yakhe away, that she threw her whole life away. Well, guess who else is sitting out here at the mercy of filthy, disgusting, Cephas type men that is being spoken of as one ulahleng bophelo ba gagwe kaofela away in order to chase a pipe dream? Me. Karab. Yeah. I also can relate to what happened with Nandipa, but not fully. Because of Jesus, that's the thing, that's the difference, that is the difference. Because of Christ, I refuse to run off, no netab, ninja, if I don't know tab. But that is what is presently pursuing me. I refused to go mina and forget about my children and my husband, forget about my life, my profession, my everything, to serve the needs of a man that I have just strong feelings for. And that's all that there is. There's literally nothing else to run with over here. There's no character that we are looking at. There is nothing worth the while to really truly focus on in this man. Do you understand? That would cause me to want to lay it all down for him. These men tend to have such violent character flaws. There is just so much that is wrong with them. Everything is just so off that the lack of incentive for a woman to throw away her entire life for this thing, like, is yawning so sufficiently that it is clear. I'm also expected now everything that I am in favor of a better type of man to go and break out of prison some freak and then forget about like my whole core, the thing that I am as a woman, like the thing that my values, the all that which on the come up to acquire, everything that I worked on, like burning the midnight oil, studying at university, all that jazz. These men will literally say to you, cut your losses because we're in love. Using witchcraft, they grab some of the most wonderful women and they just squander their virtue. And then next thing, a woman is facing trial for crying out loud. Next thing, she's got a criminal record because she was out there helping some freak that she told herself, I love him too much. This is Romeo and Juliet, and I will do anything for my man. She's been spiritually manipulated. Nandipa, the type of besta is exactly that thing. And I am being sought after to be Nandipa. But you see, that's the thing. The difference between me and Nandipa is Jesus. Who in the world is going to rescue you from freaking Cephas? Who, as a black woman, is going to have your back so much that Cephas also because nobody else is coming through for us. Nandipa's dad as well. Her parents, just like it. Why in the world a man that went to prison for for rape and murder of women? That's what Thabo Bester went to prison for the first time. Why isn't that what then would you receive a malobola from a man like that over your daughter? Like, where is the love? The only thing that Thabo Bester flailed in the face of Nandipa's dad was money. It did not, he did not care to say, over my dead body ngizolwa, you are not going to get umntanam. Awuzomthola ngoba ungumdlu wenguli, uyabulala, and you want to take eyami indodakazi. Where was sense in this black man's heart and mind? Where? What I'm getting at is that there is just such inappropriate reaction to black girls that absent of, like I said, nobody's coming for you, ladies, and you know that. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody is going to have your back. Nobody is going to cater to your need. Nobody. Nobody's actually really, truly looking out for your best interests. Nobody is going to out here take a bullet for you. No one. And when then you have a dad that's willing to basically allow for your own self-sabotage, a dad that's not going to stand in the way of a rapist and a murderer from marrying you, when you don't have sufficient protections, you are on your own. You are. As a woman, you are entirely on your own. And if you are on your own, it means black girls, in comparison to literally every other demographic of women out there, you have a responsibility to be a lot more mature with your future. You have a responsibility to not just run with the whims of what people expect of you. You have got a responsibility to self-cover, protect. You, as women, have to see something for what it is. Inja, that's been sitting in prison, properly out here, gathering dust for years, that has been taking some of the best things, however, having not even worked, in order to earn them. Now you've got these strange, strong feelings for him. You've got a responsibility to basically tabulate, put down on a piece of paper what you expect out of a situation and what this person is offering. See the disparities. See the differences between you and what you want and what they are happy to offer or what they are able to offer. And when then when the disparities are too gargantuan, just get out and see just the fact that you're even considering being with Njahe is ridiculous. You, as black women, have to be wise enough to basically snap yourselves out of something that obviously does not make sense, given that nobody else is coming for you. Let me go inside, seeing as it's gotten so dark now. Yeah, what's up? Okay, so I'm inside now, as you can tell. Alrighty, yeah, look, these men come into women's lives and they cause them to self-destruct, literally self-destruct, as in ruin their own lives in the pursuit of a love that they don't even truly feel for these men, but that has been invested into their bones. They get cajoled into it, they get coerced into it, however, unbeknownst to themselves, because it's witchcraft operating. So this Cephas, no-brainer, set his eyes on, one second, he set his eyes on my cousin, accosted my cousin after school one day. We then went home and started to plot and scheme as to how under heaven it is that we're going to essentially protect my cousin from ending up at the whims, at the mercy of this no-brainer dude. For the next couple of weeks, we would also, just like many other girls in the school, check coast first, exit using holes in the fence. And this happened for some time. And not only would we use these holes in the fence, but we deliberately, because sometimes when the guy was not outside of the school in the periphery, he was down the road somewhere, basically down the road from where it is that he generally would chill, because he was on this particular day not feeling particularly rapey. So he would not be around the school, but just hanging out with his boys in some other part of the Gussie. And we knew where he largely hung out, where he largely sat and just gathered dust the whole day, right? Now, the path, the route where it is that he used to chill with his boys was the shortest route to get home to us. The school was on the same road as where we stayed, just further down. So all we needed to do was walk one straight line from A to B and from B to A every single day. That's how it was. Same street. Our school was here, we stayed here. This is, of course, the path of walking that was the most pragmatic, the most practical. If I tell you, for weeks on end, this menace to society caused me and my cousins to walk like that around Soweto. Hey guys, we lived in Tladi, Soweto.